On September 10, 1813, a decisive naval battle took place on the waters of Lake Erie, a battle that would forever change the course of the War of 1812 and the future of North America. This is the story of the Battle of Lake Erie, a tale of strategy, bravery, and a young naval officer who would become a national hero. By 1812, the War of 1812 had reached a critical juncture. Control of the Northwest Territory, which included present-day Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana, was fiercely contested. The Great Lakes, particularly Lake Erie, were vital for moving troops and supplies. Whichever side controlled the lake would hold a significant strategic advantage in the region. For the United States, securing Lake Erie meant cutting off British supply lines and opening a path for an invasion of Canada. For the British, holding the lake was essential to maintain their control over Detroit and the surrounding territory. The man chosen to lead the American naval forces on Lake Erie was Oliver Hazard Perry, a young, ambitious naval officer. At just 27 years old, Perry was determined to break the British stranglehold on the Great Lakes. Perry arrived at the Frontier Shipyard in Presque Isle, Pennsylvania, in March 1813. There he oversaw the construction of a fleet of 9 vessels. This was no easy task. The remote location, lack of supplies, and constant threat of British attack made the work incredibly challenging. Despite these obstacles, Perry and his men worked tirelessly. By July, the fleet was ready, featuring the Brig's USS Lawrence and USS Niagara as its flagships. Each ship was armed with powerful cannons, but the British fleet, led by Commander Robert Heriot Barclay, had the advantage of heavier, long-range guns. Perry knew that the success of his mission depended not just on firepower, but on timing, strategy, and the bravery of his crew. On the morning of September 10, 1813, Perry's fleet set out to confront the British. The 2 squadrons met near Put-in-Bay on Lake Erie. The American fleet consisted of 9 vessels, while the British had 6 ships, including the heavily armed HMS Detroit. As the fleets closed in, Perry hoisted his battle flag on the USS Lawrence. The flag bore the words, "Don't give up the ship," a tribute to Captain James Lawrence, who had died earlier that year in the Chesapeake Bay. The phrase would soon become a rallying cry for American sailors. The battle began with intense cannon fire. Perry directed the Lawrence into the thick of the fight, taking on the HMS Detroit and the Queen Charlotte. The Lawrence was pummeled by British fire, and soon the ship was heavily damaged, with many of her crew killed or wounded. Despite the heavy damage, Perry refused to give up. With the Lawrence crippled, he made a daring decision that would turn the tide of the battle. In an extraordinary act of bravery, Perry transferred his command to the USS Niagara. Rowing through enemy fire, he reached the Niagara and hoisted his battle flag once again. With fresh determination, Perry took the Niagara straight into the British line. Perry unleashed a devastating barrage from the Niagara, raking the British ships from stern to bow. The British, caught in the crossfire, were unable to recover. Within minutes, the HMS Detroit and Queen Charlotte were severely damaged, and the remaining British vessels were surrounded. By early afternoon, the battle was over. The entire British squadron had surrendered, marking a decisive victory for the United States. Perry's bold leadership and tactical brilliance had turned the tide of the war in the Northwest. After the battle, Perry penned his now famous message to General William Henry Harrison: "We have met the enemy and they are ours." This simple yet powerful statement encapsulated the significance of the victory. Perry's victory at the Battle of Lake Erie had immediate and far-reaching consequences. It forced the British to abandon Detroit and retreat from the Northwest Territory, securing the region for the United States. This victory also boosted American morale at a critical time in the war. Oliver Hazard Perry became a national hero, celebrated for his courage and leadership. His actions during the Battle of Lake Erie are remembered as one of the greatest achievements in American naval history. Today, the Perry's Victory, an international peace memorial, stands on South Bass Island, near the site of the battle. The monument commemorates the men who fought on both sides and symbolizes the lasting peace between the United States, Britain, and Canada. The Battle of Lake Erie was more than just a military victory. It was a turning point in the War of 1812 that helped shape the future of North America. The courage and determination of those who fought on September 10, 1813, will forever be remembered as a defining moment in American history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of America's past and the events that shaped our nation.